This is a, a film channel, film photo channel. It's been a couple months since my last video. There are 2 videos that I tried to make in that time that just didn't end up working out, whether it was like a recording failure that I just didn't have the energy to do again, or the photos just didn't really turn out. So that could very well be this video too, but if you're seeing this, it probably ended up working out okay. So this video is going to be about the Intrepid 4x5 camera, which I have here. This is my first large format camera, my first dive into large format. It's a very cool camera, and I've taken probably 4 or 5 large format photos to date, to varying degrees of success, and I love the process so far. Again, I've only taken 5 photos with this, but 5 photos feels like a lifetime almost with this camera. You know, it's such a process to get one photo that each one feels like 10 or 20 photos. So I feel pretty well versed in the camera already. You know, once you kind of get the walk around of how it works and what everything does, it's a pretty simple camera to use. And it's a lot of fun. So I don't have any real plan for this. I just want to take a photo with this camera. I have my film holder loaded up with Ilford HP5. There's a lot of snow on the ground, so that's why I'm going black and white, because I feel like I'm not sure if color film would almost be wasted when half the photo is going to be white anyways. So we've got Ilford HP5 in there, and I have to drive over to this place called the Ancaster Mill to scope out a wedding I have tomorrow. I've shot there a bunch of times, but again, with all the snow, I just want to see how accessible some of the spots I like going to are. So when I'm in the area, I'm just gonna kind of do a little search around and see if there's anything in the area that would be worth taking a large format photo of. And if there's not, this video may never see the light of day. So again, if you're seeing this, I maybe found something cool, or I didn't, and I just wanted to get a video out there. We'll see. So yeah, tag along. So I drove for about 45 minutes and didn't see a single thing. I was just gonna turn around because I got to pick up my son from school, and found this cool GMC kind of parked behind this fence here. So I think that's gonna be the photo. We're gonna try it out. So a common thing that people say they love about film is that it slows them down, kind of forces you to think about your composition a little bit more, and generally just, you know, as I said, slows you down a lot. And if you are one of those people that loves that about film, this is probably the dream camera for you. So definitely invest in one of these if you like a slow, painful process that will kill you until you're dead. So I'm just gonna go through what I'm gonna be doing here. To set up the shot, I'm gonna have to take this lens cap off, which I'm kind of shaking a little bit, it's a little cold. But, and then you have to open up the lens as such, like that. And then basically, I didn't bring a dart cloth or anything like that with me, so I'm just gonna put my coat, I'm gonna take my coat off, great idea, and put it over my head to frame up and focus the shot. You frame and focus by looking through this ground glass back here. It's pretty well impossible to see through unless you have something over your head. And then you focus it by moving and tilting these 2 panels here. And there's a lot of movements you can do with this camera. So you and I will try and get maybe a little creative with that. All right, so I'm getting f16 200 ISO. It's again HP5 in here, which is a 400 ISO. So I unfortunately don't have a tripod, so I can't really show me focusing and taking the photo. You wouldn't really see anything anyways, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. We'll see how it goes. All right, so
It's framed, it's focused up, hopefully. The film holder is loaded in the back right here. And before you take the dark slide out, make sure that you close the lens. That's something that I messed up the first time I did this, and ended up just wasting the film because it was exposed to the light right away. So make sure that you do close the lens before you take the dark slide out. Kind of obvious, but yeah, just another thing to remember. Shutter. 250 f11, blah blah blah. Everything's good. 1, 2, 3. And that's it. That's it. That's all. So the dark slide goes back in. And we're good.
So that's it. That's shooting with a 4x5 camera. I've taken now 6 4x5 photos, which is not a lot, but I had completely hooked on this format. It's always exciting getting film back and like developing your film and finally seeing it, whether it's 35, 6x7, whatever it is. But I have to say it's that much more exciting when it's a 4x5 image, just because there's so much detail in the photos. And in my case, I've never owned a tilt shift lens or played with a tilt shift lens, so having that much movement available to me in the camera is super fun to see. Once it's all finished, like that sliver of focus on the GMC logo up the fence, and the rest just being completely you know, not blown out, but blurred, is super cool. So if you're looking to get into large format, I highly recommend those Intrepid cameras. They're super fun. They're really lightweight, surprisingly. Like, they look super heavy, but it's actually probably one of my lighter cameras that I own. I think probably most of my 6x7 cameras are heavier than that one, which is like weird. So and I didn't show this, but it also folds up really nicely too, so it will fit in most camera bags as well. And also, if you live in somewhere where there's snow, which a lot of people have snow at the moment, but if you do live somewhere where there's snow and you're looking for a spot to shoot, and you're like, maybe see a house and you're like, is that abandoned, or a building, and it's like, is there anyone in there? Very simple, just like look at the snow. If it's untouched, you're probably good, especially by the front doors. If that snow hasn't moved, it's probably a safe bet that it is abandoned, or if there are people in there, they're probably not coming outside. Unless they like snipe you from the window or something, which look out for that, but you should be good. And so that's the thing you can do. I was a little hesitant to get into 4x5 because mostly just because of how expensive it is. Like the camera I think is a very affordable intro into large format picture taking, but the film is expensive. I mean, ilford HP5 is about $60–70 Canadian for 10 photos. And then on top of that, you got to think of, I develop my own photos, but even, you know, buying chemicals and all that does cost money as well. So you're looking at, you know, 10, 15, you know, so you're looking at like a few dollars every time you take a photo, which is, it can be painful, especially as I mentioned, I was having the issue the first few where I put the dark slide back in and it was just ripping out the negative. That's like a really not good feeling. So as hesitant as I was and as expensive as the film is, I do think this is a really, really cool way to experience photography. I am loving it so much. And the one other thing that I would obviously recommend, and this isn't something that I have yet, is getting a proper like cloth to put over yourself when you're trying to focus. I'm still using like a sweater or my jacket like I did today. And while that does kind of work, I think you really want something that's going to go like all the way down to your knees, so you can really, really see the whole ground glass at the back and get a way better idea of like how focused it is and your framing, because it is a little tough. That's probably the toughest part I've found about shooting 4x5 so far, is framing and focusing, because quite frankly it's just very hard to see the full thing ever. Like you can kind of peek around and see like compositionally like what it's looking like, but it can be very tough to compose But maybe like I said, maybe a full dark cloth would help that. So definitely look into one of those. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video. Thanks for tuning in.